Hey everyone. So, do you think of yourself as empathic or someone who's highly sensitive or do you feel like you take on people's emotions and feelings and, just responsibility of caretaker for everybody? Do you feel like you're someone that's just always just overwhelmed with like just what you feel, what you notice in the world and with your family and your friends and stuff, and just kind of feel like you're taking it on and it kind of feels like a burden? So, being empathic is, I don't know, like I found it to be kind of like a blessing and a curse at times. Like it's kind of like, it's nice to be compassionate. It's nice to sort of feel what other people are feeling and to relate to them and stuff. But when you start to take on people's emotional states, people's mental, physical states, then it becomes a little bit overwhelming, and then you start to lose yourself within conversations and you're not clear about what you need and what somebody else needs. So I'm going to give you an example of like how, so I in my 20s kind of was like, okay, yeah, I'm probably empathic, but I didn't really 100% knew what that meant. And so there was this one time, like at my office, I would always know when somebody didn't like the music I was playing because I could immediately just sort of feel it or sense it, or they got uncomfortable or something. And so I'd be like, hey, do you want me to like change this music? And they'd be like, yes, I really don't like the music. And so I was just like, great, like this is such a gift. I get to like, I know what people are feeling and yay. And then one day I started asking myself, well, what kind of music do I like? And I realized I didn't really know what music I liked because because it was more important for me to make sure that the other person was comfortable. And so whatever they liked became more important than what I liked. So this is sort of the pitfall of being empathic, right? You kind of lose yourself, or you don't have a definition of yourself at some point because it all depends on what the other person thinks and what the other person feels. Because if that person's uncomfortable, then you're uncomfortable as the empath, right? So that's not good from the standpoint of taking care of yourself and from the standpoint of being happy and being healthy within your own body. Like it's good for my work because then I get to help people and I know what they're feeling. But then at the end of the day, I'm drained and I don't know. And I'm like, why am I so drained? Like I'm doing something that I love, right? Like, so it's been this really long process for me to kind of figure out like how to navigate what is me and what is somebody else, right? Like what's my emotion and what's somebody else's emotion. Excuse me. What is mine to take care of and what is mine for the other person to take care of. So this is what I'm going to talk about today because it's a really important one. Like there's a lot of things that are happening and shifting in the world. And so there's a lot, if you are empathic, if you're sensitive, if, you're going to be feeling all of this. And what do you do about it, right? Like, what is it? Like, what is yours? What is your responsibility is kind of like how I'm always looking at it. What is my responsibility? So I always start with, this is why I'm always talking about grounding. This is why I'm always like, get into your body, get into your body. So when I take a breath and when I ground myself, when I actually feel the weight of my body on the chair, my feet on the floor, it immediately takes me into my body, right? Like it's just this really kind of quick touch base with myself, right? Like it drops some of that mental chatter and I come into my body so that it calms me down. And so then when I'm interacting with somebody and I start to kind of get confused, or what am I supposed to do? Or like, is this me or is this them? And, and I start to blend and I start to merge and I start to kind of get confused. And what else could happen? Anyway, you probably know. I can't think of anything right now. So, so I take a breath and then I sit there and I remember this. I think I always come from this place of like I think about my kids and I think about kids in general, right? Like when you're teaching a child to tie their shoe, you show them how to tie their shoe, right? And then you have to let them tie their own shoe. Otherwise, they're never going to learn, right? So if I feel what somebody else is feeling, and then I sit there and go, oh, I know what they need, I'm going to do it for them because I already know what they're feeling and they don't know what they're feeling, right? Or I already know what they need to do because I'm feeling it in my body. So then I'm like doing it for them, right? Like this is what we do when we're like caregivers and when we're like empaths. We're like trying to like solve the problem all the time to make us feel comfortable, to make them feel comfortable, which makes us feel comfortable. So I have to sit there and go, they need to learn how to take care of themselves, right? So they need to learn how to tie their shoe. Otherwise, they're going to be 50-year-olds and don't know how to tie their shoes. So take a breath, right? Is this mine or is this theirs? Is this mine is this am I feeling my stuff or am I feeling their stuff? Right? Like that's always kind of like first delineating, like when you're in a conversation with somebody, is this my emotions that I'm feeling or is this their other person's? If it's mine, deal with it. Say something. I'm feeling uncomfortable. I need to do something different here. I'm happy. I need to change the music. I don't like the music. And then, but if it's theirs, if they're uncomfortable, if they're having a hard day, if the person that you're talking to is struggling with something, and yes, 100% have compassion for that person, 100% sit there and listen and hold space for them. But to try to solve the problem for them takes the power away from the other person. So recognize that the other person is going through a hard time. I hear that you're going through a hard time, right? And then like I actually like sit there, like, so I'm sitting there knowing that they need to learn how to tie their own shoe. They need to figure this out. I am here 100% if they need help tying their shoe, but I can't do it for them all the time. So I actually have to physically, energetically pull back ever so slightly. I don't disconnect from the person, but I imagine, I pretend I visualize pulling my energy back ever so slightly towards me, my energetic body, my aura, the field around me, right? So when I take that breath and I settle into my body, I am simultaneously just ever so slightly pulling my energy back away from the other person towards myself so that I'm holding my own space and I'm still connected with the person, allowing them to tie their own shoe, allowing them to figure out their own problem, but I am 100% present with the person, but not losing myself in the conversation. So I'm staying inside my body. I'm feeling what I'm feeling, like, oh my gosh, I feel so uncomfortable that this person is having such a hard time. Okay, good to know, right? Doesn't mean I need to change it. It doesn't mean I need to do something. Or maybe it does. Maybe I need to get them a glass of water. Maybe I need to help them figure out the problem to what they're going through, right? But if that's something that you do knee-jerk do all the time, I challenge you to just sort of take a breath and pause and just listen to them and let them figure it out, because it's way more empowering for the other person to figure out what they need. And then they know how to tie their shoes, right? Like it's a simple analogy, but it really kind of works so that they know that they can take care of themselves. They know that they can figure out what music they like. And then you get to figure out what music you like. And if you have a hard time, if you're always dependent on what other people are, on other people's opinions, then take that moment when you take that breath. Is this mine? Do I like this music or not? Then really kind of try to figure that out. Take some time with yourself to like just sort of like, what do I like? What do I want to do? What makes me happy? Because a lot of times when we're empathic, we don't actually know what that means. It seems crazy, but it's very common. So anyway, this is kind of a lot to kind of mull over, but just sort of like, so remember, it's like taking that breath, grounding yourself into your body, feeling the weight of your body, and then ever so slightly pulling your energy back and asking yourself, is this mine or is this the other person's? Is this something that I need to tend to right now, or does this person just need some help, a shoulder to cry on, a space to just sort of listen and be present? It's incredibly powerful. So go ahead and try it and let me know what you think. Hope you have a great day. Bye.